Welcome back. Secretary of State Marco Rubio testified on Capitol Hill today about the Trump administration's foreign policy priorities, including its efforts to end the war in Gaza. Rubio was asked about efforts to move Palestinians to other countries in that region. Here is some of what he said.
Yes, we've asked countries preliminarily whether they would be open to accepting people, not as a permanent situation, but as a bridge towards reconstruction.
Does that include Libya?
I'm not aware of Libya.
Now, 5 people with knowledge of the effort told NBC News that the Trump administration is working on a plan to permanently relocate up to 1 million Palestinians from the Gaza Strip to Libya. It comes as Israel once again intensifies its military operations in Gaza and as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu faces increased international pressure after vowing to take full control over the Gaza Strip. The UK, Canada, and France issued a joint statement opposing the expansion of military operations and urging Israel to lift its restrictions on humanitarian aid entering Gaza. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley is in Tel Aviv and filed this report.
Yeah, we heard from the United Nations and the Israelis that yesterday there were about a dozen aid trucks that went in. Our own teams on the ground in the Gaza Strip said there was no evidence that aid had actually entered the Gaza Strip yesterday. It sounds like today those trucks are on the move, and the United Nations had said that they have permission for 100 aid trucks to enter the Gaza Strip. But as we heard from the UN's humanitarian chief, he said that this is just a drop in the ocean for the more than 2 million people in the Gaza Strip who now have been without aid from outside that enclave for nearly 3 months. And we heard from this same man. He said that 14,000 babies could die within the next 48 hours in the Gaza Strip if the status quo in terms of malnutrition and aid persists. Now, we've also heard in just the past couple of weeks from a UN-affiliated body that monitors nutrition and food throughout the world. They said that by September, parts of the Gaza Strip could reach catastrophic levels of famine. So we're talking about a need that is very, very strong, and one that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, said he is trying to meet, but he said he's only going to be doing that because he's facing substantial pressure from his allies. And he said that this was a red line that he had heard from allies. They don't want to see starvation in the Gaza Strip. It's clear that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, is fending off attacks from his right flank politically. A lot of folks here in Israel are angry that aid could be let into the Gaza Strip, and they are determined not to let it fall into the hands of Hamas, who they say, and they have consistently accused, of taking the aid to profit for themselves and to give to their own fighters. Now, Hamas has denied these claims, but the fact is that the situation in the Gaza Strip is getting worse militarily as well. We heard that Gideon's Chariots, and that is the Israeli term for this new offensive in the Gaza Strip, was launched over the weekend with massive bombardments up and down that enclave. That is going to make the situation for civilians there even worse. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.